welcome back to Childhood Expired, where we share our experiences in early adulthood. I'm Abril, the traveling single one that adds fire to this group.
I'm Kathy, the married working glue that keeps this group together.
And I'm Kike, the funny and the wise one of the group, also married to Kathy.
And before we get into this episode, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you haven't already and you've been watching with us for a while or listening, go ahead and give us a review. So in today's episode, we will be discussing the importance of the Latino voice.
Yes.
So let's get into it. First question. Something that's just been like new, right? Like this is, I would say, like in the past 5 years has been the talks between minorities and stuff. Does representation actually matter? And like in TVs, like there's a brown person, or in commercials, or you know, or like advertising and stuff that you go and in Target. Like, does it mean something to you when there's a brown dad and a white mom?
That's really confusing, man.
Let me say what I think. I think it does matter, of course, right? But I'm going to share a little personal experience. I think because that has been a recent thing, right?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, when we were little kids, it wasn't as common, right?
Yeah.
Or shows that you saw, it was like everybody was the same color. There was different colors, but the whole family was all one color, right? Or the whole show was all one color, right?
Yeah.
And so me as a kid, I'm going to make a confession. They know this about me. When I was a kid, I hated Dora the Explorer.
Oh, yeah.
Hated her.
You hated Dora?
Because I was so dang jealous of her. Oh my gosh. The fact that this girl was on TV and spoke Spanish and English made me so jealous. Because I was like, I do too, girl. I'm not on TV. Oh, I hated her. I couldn't stand her. Everything she did, everything she said, when she would say something in Spanish, she'd think she's so cool. And she's a cartoon. My gosh. My little Kathy
she was
so
staring at you
jealous.
like, can you find the map?
No, bro.
See?
No, I applaud Dora, even though she's a fictional character. She carried our
She
race.
really did.
And
me, a little brown girl, couldn't appreciate that. I was jealous of her. Like, it wasn't go Dora.
Yeah.
Like, heck yeah, girl. Like,
Por
look,
la raza.
Mom, she's speaking Spanish. Like, that's us.
Me.
No, there
like
wasn't any of that. I hated her.
But on the contrary,
her.
go Diego, go
Diego,
go Diego, go.
I
Rescate amigos to rescue my friends.
Now I look back, if Dora was real, I would go to her, I would apologize and send her a letter of apology for all the anger I felt as a child. But I think that's one of the reasons why representation matters, because like in the same way sometimes like women go against each other, right? Women should support women, right?
Yeah.
Like we should support each other, even if she's a freaking
yeah.
cartoon. Like she was up there doing her thing and teaching little kids that don't know Spanish. There was little kids that would know little phrases because of her.
And you know what? The representation that we do have is always very stereotypical. Like, it's not until recently, like, you see brown people and just, like, regular, like, a lawyer or a business owner. Yeah. Before it was always the gangster, the maid, right? The cholo, right? The chola. Like, I'm just like, bruh, we're not all like that. And I remember when like YouTube started being like a big thing, right? Like I was 6th grade. What was that? 2010, 11, 12, whatever. and I'm the classy, like not classy, like your basic girl, right? Like very girly girl. So I would want to like watch YouTube videos to like learn how to do makeup, and every single person was white. Like there wasn't any brown YouTubers that was doing that. So oh my goodness, if I could find the pictures, so embarrassing, because I'm learning stuff from white people. I'm learning
it's different,
or like stuff about hair or just anything like. And
Gotcha.
you would try it and like, why doesn't this work? It's like, because that doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
I'm
that makes
brown.
sense. Oh my gosh, the lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Do?
Yes, it does. I feel like it's like, oh man, how do I put it into words? Let's say, okay, so when I say Puerto Ricans, what do you think of?
You?
New Yorkers.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, people think of, I don't know the best word to describe it, but it's like superficial or artificial image of what a Puerto Rican is.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's mostly because of movies. That's mostly because of commercials. And the way I was raised, the way I grew up, I was raised in like I would say like urban side of it. Like I was raised in the mountains and like the fields. It wasn't disconnected from everything else. It was just a different environment. I wasn't like in a city per se. So like I see like a Puerto Rican, and to me it's like somebody who is, first of all, has the slang of a Puerto Rican and has like a lot of, I would say like a lot of experience in like anything you have to talk about. Like always will have like an advice. So I was like, oh yeah, you just chop it down like this, like da 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 da. Like that is what a Puerto Rican is to me. Right. But when I say Puerto Rican to somebody else, I am the pride of the country, basically.
And you saying that, like, when you think, what does a Puerto Rican look like, or what does a Mexican look like, or what does a Guatemalan look like, a lot of people don't know that, like, we come in all colors.
Well, you
like,
say Mexican, but you're Peruvian. You know that, right?
She's half and half, bro.
Half and half.
No.
You're lying right now.
You didn't
I've
know?
always thought you were pure Peruvian.
No, for real? Are we really getting this on camera and audio?
We are.
You had no idea it was half and half?
Wow.
I've always...
Yo!
You know what? I've always raised the importance of you being Peruvian than Mexican.
Because that's what she talks about more.
That's what I say, yeah, because I don't know anything about Mexico. Like, nothing. Like, I think maybe, like, a couple years ago, like, maybe less than 10 years ago, I found out, like, what city my dad was from in Mexico and stuff like that. But I don't eat Mexican food like that, like, authentic, like, home-cooked or anything. Like, Mexican food for me is, like, whatever you buy at El Paso or the taco truck. I don't know anything else.
ACP.
The ACP? No, for real. We went to a Mexican restaurant the other day, and I was like, what's the difference between this and this? Like, I don't know anything about their culture. And I say their, but it is technically mine también. I don't. So it kind of feels weird.
Sorry, I can't relate.
No. It feels weird to, like, claim something that you don't know. But at the same time, like, you're allowed. Like, I'm allowed to.
Yeah, I just have a little bit of that.
Yeah. But I just feel, wow, that's crazy.
It's also like the fear of like adopting that side of you, and then people will say that you're an Osabo kid.
No, for real.
You're not real.
I remember when I used to say all the time that I was Mexican, because it wasn't like I was ashamed of it. Yeah. But people would ask. Nobody knows anything about Peru. Nobody cares about Peru. All right.
Yeah.
People like everybody wants to know about like Mexico, which is cool, which is great. Respect to the homies. But they would ask me questions about. I don't know. Like, I would tell people all the time, I know the same amount about Mexico that you do. Yeah. And you're white. You and me know the same thing. But going back to what I was saying, a lot of people don't know that we come in all colors. Like, our Latinos can be blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin. Latinos can also be...
And from the same country.
Same country, bro. And they can be dark, afro, brown eyes, like... It's just...
Especially, like, those that look completely white. But if you ask them and everything, like, their name is Spanish, they have perfectly fluent Spanish and everything. And even the way they act is
they're
from
Hispanic.
their homeland.
Yeah, they have the culture.
Yeah, they have the culture. But you
look at them, they dress white and they look white. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's trippy.
So, that's why it's important to have representation. Like, I'm so for... there being brown Disney princesses, and I'm so for you putting the brown person in the ad.
I can appreciate them now.
I've
grown.
No, I went to, so it's Hispanic Heritage Month. That's why we're doing this, right? I went to Target and I saw like a little stand, and it was just little, and it's okay, you know, I appreciate it. But it's just a stand in front of the store, right when you walk into the store, in the middle of the aisle, and it's dedicated to Hispanic Heritage Month. I never saw that growing up. Did you? No, right? Never, ever, ever. This is the first time. I don't know if they did it last year and I just didn't notice, or it wasn't that big of a deal, or whatever, but I've never noticed it. I'm 21 years old, and I've never, ever seen that before in, like, a public space. And the little brown girl in me was so happy. Like, like just in awe and love.
Nice.
And that's what gets me into the next question of like, why has it taken so long for Latinos to be noticed? Like, why has it been so hard for us to be united, right? Like, what is the tension there between Latinos in y'all's opinion?
I think some of it is in the same way to my Dora example, the way I felt jealous of her. We get jealous of the other countries. We think that they think they're better than us, that you know, they're just so prideful, like, and when your country's smaller than another person's country, it's like, oh, well, it's because they're so big. There's so many of them, right? That's the big thing with Mexicans. They have a large land, so there's a lot of Mexicans and that we know.
Everybody thinks that
everybody's Mexican. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like frustrating.
It's easy for us.
Go back to your homeland. I'm Puerto Rican.
Go back to Mexico. I've never been there actually.
I've
never been to my homeland either.
I was like, buy me a ticket. I'll go.
If somebody tells me go back to Guatemala, I've actually never been there. It's not going back. It's going for the first time.
Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to go for the first time. Actually, you're gonna buy my ticket.
You're right. There's just so much. Or like even with Puerto Ricans, we said this on the first gen episode that we made. A lot of people have like animosity towards Puerto Ricans because you guys have papers and all the rest of the
what else?
What else do y'all have against us?
That's it.
The main one is that.
The main one is that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's holding Latinos back from being united? I would say it's just one thing. Like it's like I would be repeating the same thing that Kathy would be saying, but it's just that we all have our pride, and it all comes down to the person individual of what they went through in life and what the other person is going through in life, and they try to compare each other. Like it all starts as communication, but then they're like, well, you gotta understand, and they try to give each other advice, and then something just becomes psychology related. It becomes something social, experimental. It just becomes all these things holds anybody, not just Latinos. It's just it comes down to everything. But Latinos specifically, it comes down to their pride.
Yeah, I think there's been so much growth though now that all of us should be proud, and it's totally okay for us to be proud together. At the same time, we can all feel it and be pumped, and that has changed a lot recently, which is a great thing.
Yeah, it is a great
I think another perspective, and what I think the reason why Latinos aren't as united as, like, let's say the African American population or like the Asian population, right? Like they're pretty like strong groups, and they have each other's back in a sense. I think what holds us back is we're just we're timid people because we come from, but
then again, we're very strong-willed.
We are, but it's just kind of like, you're not going to see us, and I really hope that changes, but you're not going to see us marching in the streets. Why? Because a lot of us have a past. Some of us are undocumented. Some of us have family that are undocumented. Like, that can be something that's held against you. Yeah, we're taught to be, or at least, like, I had this conversation with my mom the other day because because recently we've had, our church has hired the city police department to come to our church. And I had asked my mom.
Actually, it's volunteer work.
Oh, it's volunteer? Wow. Yeah. Glory to God.
It's really nice.
But we have the police department come to our church, right? And I told my mom, I was like, the first couple of days, it was very difficult for me. And I'm born here. There's like, I don't have nothing bad. Like I have a warrant for my arrest or nothing. But every single time I would see them, it would just catch me off guard, and I would feel nervous just immediately. But yet my white friends, or some people I know in the American congregation, they felt so safe and they felt protected and they enjoyed the presence of the police. And I'm not trying to bash on police or anything. I think it's so great that they're in our building. And now I feel a little bit more like protected, especially with what's going on. And I asked my mom, I'm like, why are we like that?
Why do I feel like that?
Yeah. And my mom was like, it's instilled in us. She was like, the moment you get here to the United States, my mom remembers people telling her, in airports, you're supposed to be quiet. Don't look suspicious. Don't do this. Don't be loud. Don't be in big groups. Don't. It's instilled in us, and then it gets passed down from generation to generation. My little brother, who's 4 years old, and we have never told him anything like the police are bad or be scared of the police. But I guess it's just like maybe dialogue that we like say around him. When he sees police cars, he ducks down when we're driving.
Wow.
And I saw that and I felt so bad. I'm like, what did we do as a family that made him feel like that? Like, what did we tell him? And again, we have never verbally told him, police are bad, this is bad. But yet, there's something in the way that we've acted that he's caught on, that he acts that way. Yeah. So again, I think we are very, as Latinos who come, either you've immigrated here or you're first generation, there is that, I don't want to say like a generational stronghold that is just like, you know what, maybe it's not worth fighting for equality, fighting for, you know, the rights to be seen, fighting for anything, right? Because there is a risk that might be greater than the reward. And that's what I think is holding us back. And that sucks. And that's unfair.
Yeah, because even if there's not a risk for you, you think about your family. Oh, well, I'm risking, you know, everything. Risking the people around me, my friends, you know, it's a dangerous thing. There's danger there. Like stranger danger, a police danger, fighting danger. Speaking out, danger.
Danger,
But you're right. That's how we're raised. Do you feel like you were raised that way? I'm curious to know. As a Puerto Rican.
In my homeland, it was more about I guess it's the same here, but it's just that not all of them are good. And our experiences with police, every time we were detained, they were like buttholes. They really were. They were like, they would fine us for anything they would see. And they're expensive. I mean, Puerto Rico's expensive as a whole. And we would like have to go like hire a lawyer and stuff, like normal people. But the thing is, experiences with the police is never a good thing. The only cop I love was my uncle, because he's a police and then he turned into a special agent or whatever. But when I came here, I was afraid. I was very afraid. I didn't know what to expect. And then recently, when the cops started volunteering at church, my immediate reaction was not danger for me, but I was like, I need to get my friends safe. Like I was like, I need to find out like who I don't remember who has paper and who doesn't. Like I need to find them.
Do you feel okay right now?
Do you feel okay right now?
So like, but another thing, it was like, there's cop here. What happened? Like something wrong happened. Like that is just a chismoso part of me.
That's part of the Latino side too. That's another stronghold.
You know, another thing. I think apart from that one, for me, right, being somebody that was born and grew up here, right, I feel more comfortable in English. I know Spanish, but it's a little more difficult. My brain doesn't think in Spanish, you know, like everything is English for me. When I see other Latinos, I don't automatically speak to them in Spanish. I'm like afraid of that, and I overthink it. Do they know Spanish? Because sometimes they don't, or they're not that good at it, just like me, you know? And every time that, in the past couple years, I've used more of my Spanish side, right? So now, when I have accidentally spoken to somebody, right, I'm making assumptions. By the way you look, I'm assuming you're Latino. When I accidentally let out a phrase in Spanish, I kind of feel guilty. It's like, but we should be united in that sense. And thank God the times that I've done it, like they always give positive feedback. And they're like, oh, where are you from? And whatever. And, you know, we start sharing, I'm from Guatemala, you're from whatever. But they'll start using a little bit of their Spanish too, because they got it in them too, you know? But it's like, I hold back on that. And that is one of the things that as a whole holds back our unity too, because we suppress that side. And it's not always suppressing, because honestly, I am more comfortable in English. But the fact that I hesitate to use it, or I overthink it, or I'm like, there's other people here, like I should just speak in English. Like I'm in school right now, I should speak English. Like no, that's messed up. The fact to think like that shouldn't happen, you know?
Yeah, for me, it's actually quite similar. Just that if it is a Spanish person, I would talk to them in Spanish. But I wouldn't talk in my Puerto Rican slang. I am very adaptable. I'm good at adapting. That's one of my like special skills.
Put it on your resume.
Yeah, I should.
Adaptable.
That like if somebody talks to me, this is gonna sound wrong grammarly related, but if somebody talks to me Mexican, I will in a couple seconds I'll adjust to you and I'll start speaking to you in your
and your slang, your dialect.
Yeah, your dialect. And what's hard for me is that the reason why I don't talk in my Puerto Rican dialect is because I fear the first, I don't know if they're gonna understand me.
Yeah.
And sometimes people make fun of me because they don't like how it sounds, or
like when you guys say guagua.
Yeah, like simple stuff like that, and they're gonna be like, "Wow, what the crap is that?" And I'm like, oh, "Here we go again."
Yeah,
like, I have
and
to
you
go
just don't
through
want
that.
to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I just talk,
and we're Latinos, and we do that to you.
We pick on you guys.
Like that's bad.
Yeah.
We're terrible people.
We are terrible.
Very.
Everybody needs to get their act together.
But I would say, I think when it comes to representation, when it comes to, fighting for our people or just being united, right? Like just being united, as a whole, as a race, I think definitely it's the first generation Americans, maybe even second generations that are making that possible, and that are making that they're the ones that are actually fighting for it, that us, maybe first generations or even immigrants, can feel comfortable being a part of that. So with all the advances in other generations or just older generations making Latino issues more present, more known, and trying to bring us and unite us, what are some things that you think, big Latino issues that you wish more people knew?
I think, and this is hard. I mean, like one for one, I feel the least qualified to talk about this, but also I'm the Puerto Rican one here. The stigma in Puerto Rico is that we're this fancy, small, beautiful island, which we are proud of. It's in our anthem. It's all over our slogans, everywhere. The Enchanted Island. El Boricua, la Isla del Borinquen is beautiful, everything. We're proud of all that. I think the one thing that especially I can't defend because I don't know how to, I don't have all the information. We are allied to the United States. We have this saying in Spanish, Estado Libre Asociado, which means we are not state. We're not a state of the United States of America. We are associated. We're basically owned by them without being owned by them. And a lot of people don't get that. So one of the first stigmas is we're the state. And we're not. So another thing that's hard is just that more than privilege, people think we're like mildly, like maybe spoiled.
Stuck up.
I'm not. Stuck
or
up.
Entitled.
And exactly all those things, literally. And like, I think for a while, not even till 2022, I'm finally seeing all these things that are actually valid points about Puerto Rico that I can use to defend myself. Because back then I couldn't defend myself about anything. Because it is true, like. Yes, like for example, Mexico has to cross the border. We don't. Like, well, everybody that is not in Central America islands, like they all have to cross the border. We don't.
Cubans have to swim.
Well, I mean,
y'all just get on a plane.
A lot of them do it legally.
Exactly.
There are some people that do it legally.
And that's one of the things that like is bothersome for some people, and I understand that and I respect that. But the thing is, I try to explain as much as I can that, yes, like I do have papers. Yes, I do have these things which hold me to an advantage, but I'm not holding it in your face. I'm not being prideful about it. I am not saying I have papers you don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
And like when I try to say we are the same, all of us, they're not going to believe me. They don't. And I was glad that when we went to Puerto Rico, I'm pretty sure I said it before in this podcast, but when Kathy went to Puerto Rico with me for the first time, she said, "This is not what I expected." That kind of blew my mind. That brought so much joy to my heart that I have a witness. Like I know now that I wasn't being crazy. I know now that I'm not being exagerado. I'm not being exaggerated, you know?
Yeah. I really thought it was going to look like the U.S., just with palm trees. I really thought it was going to be the same thing we have here. And it wasn't.
It wasn't. And, like, there's hardships, minimum wage, crazy expense rates, tax rate. If we were to be United States, if we were to be the U.S., like one of their states, we would have been the most expensive and the most poorest at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane. Puerto Rico has fought 50-50. Puerto Rico has fought to either become state and make it official. Like, all right, I'm tired of this. Go ahead, adopt us, make everything legal. Like, let's do this. And some are fighting for the second time to revolutionize for their independence once again. Which, if you didn't know, Puerto Rico never, ever, ever won their independence. That's why we are owned by the U.S., because they took advantage of that. There's no other way. I am sorry for the U.S. to be able to say this, but it is true.
Yeah, it is.
The flag of the Puerto Rican was not stolen from the Cubans. A lot of people say that we stole it from the Cubans. It was not. There was this secret meeting that went on in New York a long time ago, and the creators of these flags met, and the saying two wings from one bird was adopted as the reference of these flags. That's why you see them reversed, the Puerto Rican and the Cuban. Well, the Puerto Rican flag was later taken down because it started being like, oh, you're stealing our stuff, like our brand, our everything, whatever. And again, the least qualified for this, I'm just explaining what I know. You can do your own research. So later on, that's when the U.S. came, changed the color, the blue color of our flag, made it a lot darker related to theirs, so that people can feel at peace and not assimilating, which I still don't understand how that changes things. We're still the Puerto Rican flag. Yeah. It's just the color and change. The original flag would have been where I come from, which is Lares, which a lot of people also say that we stole it from the Dominican Republic. There's point
only
is
so much you can do with flags.
Exactly. So
they're all similar.
They're all similar. So the
Central America, they're all blue, right?
They're
all blue. They're all blue.
So I could go on, but the point is, like, there's a lot of stigmas about Puerto Rico, especially the modern day nowadays. We're all just wannabe gangs. Rappers, we have papers, we are rich, which we're not. We don't go through the same things as other Latinos and Hispanics do. We do, you know, we have poverty. I can actually, now that I know mentally and consciously that we are in poverty, I can say that. Because back then I was afraid of saying, yeah, we are in poverty.
That's what I wish. I wish that people would know, all of us, Puerto Rico included, we're proud. Yeah, of course. We want that representation. We want you to know where I'm from and that, you know, I'm proud of that I'm Latino, that I speak Spanish, that, you know, my family comes from another country. As much as we're happy about that and we love our countries, it is true that we want to live here. Yes, we have the understanding that here we live better than our own country. Like, I wish people would understand, well, if you love your country so much, just go over there. Well, why did you leave? Like you, Kike. Exactly. Why did you move here? Like, you could live in your beautiful island. It's a beautiful place. But it's true that living here is better. We enjoy the economy here, the way of life, you know, and Puerto Rico included, as much as you guys have privileges by being an association with the U.S., there are things about our homelands that are big cons, the violence, the bad things, you know.
Yeah, and
it's all there.
That and this is one of the things that I'll quote from one of my friends, that he said when I explained to him about Puerto Rico, he said, "Oh, it's a double-edged sword," and I'm like, "Pretty much. It's pretty much what it is." Like, right now in Puerto Rico, whoever gets money is the people that work for the government. Whoever gets those taxes, whatever documentation and stuff, whatever benefits are the people that work for the government. Everybody else is in a rough spot. So, and like that's like another rough thing about it.
And I think again, like, cause I'm sadly, I'm probably the majority of people that didn't know anything was going on with Puerto Rico whatsoever, right? Like, probably the only thing, like, I think I don't know exactly when problems started happening or, like, whatever. For many of our countries, it's been since colonization, really, and us trying to fight and just being small people that it's just been difficult to have a country and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like, so I don't know. But I think the first time I ever heard anything about Puerto Rico was like Hurricane Maria. And that was like, what? Only a couple years ago. Maybe 4-6 years ago or something. Yeah. And it wasn't until now, this year, 1 month ago, that you and me started having real conversations about like the power outages that are happening or how people take advantage of the tax breaks and stuff like that, like American people. Or just in general, how people can just assimilate your country. It's terrible, you know, but we don't know about that and nobody wants to speak about it. And we were talking about this earlier, but it makes me so angry. So angry. All right? The Queen just died. I get it. All right? She had her funeral the day after the Hurricane Fiona hit Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's suffering. They're part
of... She had her funeral. She didn't have it. They made a funeral for her.
Sorry, Queen Elizabeth. But
rest in peace.
The
Wherever
funeral was being... the funeral was being held, right? Yeah. Puerto Rico's part of the United States. And that, don't get me wrong, her death is a monumental, important moment in history.
Yeah,
it is. It's important. But man, that entire day, the only thing I saw on like news channels or whatever was about the Queen, and it was only like small like Latino brand pages that I saw that were talking about Puerto Rico. Everything else, everything mainstream was all about that, and it made me so angry as a brown person when other brown people are being hurt and they're supposed to have your help and the support, and it's not given. I'm like, yo, that makes me so angry. And just other things like recently, I know like farmers, like actual like farmers that like work in the fields here in the United States, like in the California, Texas, Arizona area, they're fighting to be unionized, right? And they're fighting for rights because they don't have the 40-hour work week that we do, but they work in the United States. They don't have the required lunch break or any breaks whatsoever, but they work in the United States, right? Some of them don't get overtime when you hit 40 hours, but they work in the United States. Like, it's bullcrap, but nobody talks about it. Why? Because it's in this centralized place, hidden, behind closed doors, nobody knows. And the rest of the United States could care less where their food comes from because it's off of the backs of brown people. And you know what? Yeah, it's true. Some of these people are undocumented. That doesn't make them less human, you know? And if we're going to fight for better equality all around the board, well, it should, that is also something else. Yeah. And I think one last thing that I wish people knew when it comes to like Latinos coming here, because the population growth in the United States has grown so much, in the biggest group is Latinos, is what's bringing that growth. A lot of people, like, I get it. I get the frustration of people coming to this country undocumented. Like, I don't know if you guys hear it from your countries, but like, I even know like from like the Peruvian news channels, when Venezuela was going through all their stuff, a lot of Venezuelans came to Peru. So many Peruvians. Venezuelans are taking our jobs. They're taking our houses. They're taking our this. They're taking our that. So I get it. Don't get me wrong. I don't believe that, by the way. But like, I can understand the frustration. I've seen it from both sides of people coming to your country and you feel like they're taking it. But man, like, just think about, like, it's so beyond hard for me to think if somebody says that they love their family so much, but the idea of picking up your family and moving them so that they could have a better life, you wouldn't do that? You wouldn't do that. You can't tell me that you love your family and that you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't risk it all because that is.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, why would somebody do that to your family, put them through death? Because death is the option either way for many people that come over here. Poverty, starvation, you know, having to be affiliated in gangs and going through that's a real thing. I just wish people would have some sympathy, you know, and of why that happens. And also understand it's hard to be an American, like legally to go through that. The majority of my family, like I would say 90% of my families have their documentations, right? A lot of I had some family members come here in the 70s. They have their documentations. It's so hard. It's hard to become an American. And I think if you have the opportunity, the resources, please do that. You know, do the legal process. Do it. You know, you should. It is the right thing to do, but at least have some sympathy. You know, just put yourself in another person's shoes. Try to understand them. And I know I've definitely talked to some people that were very much like against illegal immigration and all that stuff, and then they meet somebody or they fall in love with somebody or they have a friend with somebody and they find out they're undocumented. It's like, wow, you are a normal person. You are. There is nothing really that separates you and me except for where you were born. So that's just something that I wish more people knew when it comes to
and that's like us. Something that holds a barrier between Puerto Rico and other countries because they think that in general we don't understand
because you don't have that struggle.
Exactly. And we don't have to go through something to understand.
Yeah, you don't.
At least understand. We're not saying that I know.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I'm saying I understand.
I don't know. I was born here. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that's like. I've always, even in the rough time, I've always had a house, somewhere to sleep. Always had a bed to sleep in, food. Like, I don't know that, but you hear stories from people that you love. You see people that look like you. You're people. It doesn't matter, you know? Those are my people. I don't have to meet you. I don't have to know you, but you are my people. You love the land that I love. You love the culture that I love. You speak the language I speak. There is a relationship. There is a similarity there. You know, and that's why I feel so much for them. And I'm asking just how I have no idea what it's like to go to bed hungry, to not have a home, but I can sympathize so much and put myself in their shoes. I'm asking for other people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's all.
I feel it. But it is true. The responsibility is ours to be united. The responsibility is ours to unite as one and understand that we all come from the same place. We all come from our Native Americans. We all were taken by Cristobal Columbus or Cristobal Columbus. Apparently his Latin name was actually Christophorus Columbus. So
he knows his history.
Yeah. We were all colonized, right?
And actually, side note to that, Puerto Rico has a statue of Christopher Columbus, which actually
tear down.
I've always felt like that. I've always felt.
You
like
never
that.
knew why. Now you know why you feel it.
Jeez, man! Like it's like in here, Christopher Columbus doesn't sound as bad as it is in Puerto Rico.
They don't in America,
like
they
they've only
his name. Yeah. He's praised.
Yeah, like I was like, he found this land. I'm like. He took this land. He killed the native people. Like, he killed them, man. There was bloodbath everywhere. Like, exactly. That's how I felt every time I heard his name. And I was taught that as a very, very young age. Like, by second grade, I should have known. Like, that's how young. I was like, Christopher Columbus? Bad. He took people. Up
or down, you see the statue and you
duck? So, yeah, that's a big side note. But yeah, I mean, we all come from the same place. We all have African American roots. We all have Spaniard roots. We all probably even have Dutch roots. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, Aruba is Dutch. Like, they speak Dutch. They're owned by northern, like, it's crazy that we think we are individuals separated one blood, like each individual blood. Like, no,
we're all.
That's why 23andMe will probably share you 1%, 1%, 1%, 50%. Like,
I really want to do one of those, by the way.
Like, I do too, man. But honestly, it is nice. This year, when people started finding out about Puerto Rico, it has made me feel at peace that people are understanding what I've been trying to tell them. That I've been trying to tell them, I'm not above you. I am not saying that I'm better than you. I am not saying all these things, so there's no reason why you should show your pride to me. And now people are like finally like settling down. They're understanding. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not even going to tell you, I told you so. I'll be there for you. If you have any questions, I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
As a whole, I love the Hispanic Latino family. I do. So it's nice that people are recognizing Puerto Rico not as a spoiled island, but as a Latin community of its own as well.
Of course.
And that we're all getting some
You're
unity.
part of La Raza, bro.
Yeah. Welcome.
So,
welcome.
We're sorry we didn't welcome you before. That's our bad.
Cue gasolina.
Orientation starts on Sunday.
So yeah, that is. I love that I'm able to talk about this right now. I love that off the podcast, I was able to explain to Abril what I've been going through. I love talking about my history. I love talking about Puerto Rico because it's my homeland.
Yeah, that's your land.
And
and learning more of it. All of us have learned more about our homelands.
Like, if I say Puerto Rican farmer, people don't know what that looks like. I do. I think of like this yarn spiky thingy, and people are like holding like plátanos on their back, like plantains with a machete. I see it. I see a full picture of what it is. And being able to share that comfortably now has been better for me to like go off my chest. Being able to, lately I've been actually letting loose on my dialect, where I feel comfortable talking in my own dialect. And people not making fun of me or like stigmatizing me. I feel comfortable. That has been my experience about being Puerto Rican. Yeah, I feel nice, and thank you guys for being there for me. This has been a great episode, and one of the verses that we chose is Revelations 9:7, and it says, "After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne, before the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands." Like I said, we're all one nation. We're all one. We should act like it. We should. It's our responsibility to be like it. Amen. Thank you guys for being part of this wonderful experience. Thank you guys for following Childhood Expired. I hope that you are following, and if you're not, go check your screen.
Go follow.
Click on the green button, or on Apple is a red button, I believe. YouTube definitely has a red button that you should click. Comment down below on YouTube whatever you would like to see next. Make sure you follow our social media accounts. Thank you guys for everything you do. Right now, we don't benefit from this. Like, we have no money. This is all from our hearts. We want to share our experience to you guys, and we will continue to do this even when we gain money. So we love you guys. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you guys on the next one. This is Childhood Expired, and we're out. See you guys.
Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.